but I know you are my liability.
Hey guys, welcome back to the Karla Code. Today's guest is one of my best friends. We went to high school together, but if you can believe it or not, we never spoke while we were in high school. It wasn't until we both graduated high school and we were visiting. Well, I was visiting in Phoenix and she was already living in Phoenix that we decided to meet up. Since then, I was blown away by her kindness, her transparency, her badassness, and her intelligence. My friend hurried up and graduated from high school at 16, left our hometown of El Paso at that young age. She got her bachelor's from DeVry at 19 while working full-time at the university, then went on to get her master's, which she finished at 21, I believe. She now works with Banner Health, where she's the senior compensation consultant in charge of the compensation of over 20,000 employees, if you can believe that. She has always been a favorite to educators, employers, friends, etc., because of her eagerness to learn and her realness. She's so far from having any ill intentions towards anyone. She's literally a light in the world. And I promise you, I'm not being kind when I say that. I'm being brutally honest. She's put up with my past antics, and I really appreciate her still being my friend. So without further ado, my guest and my dear, dear friend, Alex Tena. Hi, Alex.
Hello, that was beautiful. Thank you so much.
Aw, you deserve it. You deserve a lot more, but that's what I can come up with at the moment. I'm so excited to have you here today.
Yeah, finally it's happening. I know this was a long time overdue and we're here.
I know. So
Yeah.
me and Alex have been trying to record this podcast. This is our fourth attempt. Fourth,
Yeah.
right?
It is. Yeah.
Every single time we were having some type of technical difficulty, or there wasn't enough lighting, or she was off in Sedona on a little mini vacation and the internet wasn't working, and then timing was off. I keep getting messed up with like the whole time zone thing with everybody. I keep screwing it up. So I'm like, oh my God. So finally, guys, everybody, if you're recording with me, it's Central Standard Time at the moment. But I think we finally got it today. So I have a couple of really cool topics that me and Alex are going to be discussing today. 3 in particular. First, I'm going to have her tell me a little bit about what she does and how she's such a badass in general. And then we're going to go into veganism. She is a vegan and her baby's actually a vegan too since birth, which is incredible. And then we're going to talk about hypnobirthing, which is what she did when she had her baby, Alesso. So yeah, let's start off first with what you do for a living. Like, tell me a little bit about your past. Tell me a little bit about, when you went to school, how hard you worked to do all of that, and then how you got into the position that you are in today.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, it's a very colorful journey to say the least. I've never found the answer to this. It's like what motivated me to get to where I am right now. And I can't really say I had influences. I can't really say that, my mom or my dad taught me the way, if you will. It just kind of happened. And I like to believe that I was born with such mentality of openness and just determination that has stuck with me through, all these years. So when I was 16, I was in high school and everybody was always ahead of me. So I was 16 surrounded by like 18-year-olds. And even prior to high school, right, I was always involved with older people. So I think in a sense that helped my maturity level as well. I was always living ahead of my own time. But I always envisioned my life to be in a big city, educated, super independent. And all the decisions that I made up to that point have been around that. So when I moved to Phoenix, it was really eye-opening. I mean, the maturity level that I already had at that age, totally accelerated in a way that I was not even expecting it. Going through college, working full time, and then graduating when I was 19 with my bachelor's, which, now that I'm 30 and thinking about a 19-year-old with a bachelor's, that is like actually pretty amazing. But I never really thought it to be amazing. It's just one of the things that I had to do in life, get my education. So fast forward a couple of years later, I got my master's. and I started working in accounting. I actually got my master's in business administration with an emphasis in accounting. And that ultimately was my goal, to become an accountant. But I never really applied the experience through school. Not until I worked as an accountant, I realized, holy moly, this is really what I'm going to do the rest of my life. And it just didn't fit well with me. The accounting world, very black and white, doesn't allow for creativity or a lot of personality. It's just, it is what it is. 2 + 2 has to equals 4. And just the redundancy of the work really didn't sit well with me. It wasn't who I wanted to be, and it wasn't what I was aligned to. But after going through so many years of school and spending so much money on education, you're kind of screwed, right? You think like, I got my master's in accounting. Like, what else am I gonna do? So luckily, just through connection and networking, I was able to land a job at Banner Health as a compensation analyst, very entry-level compensation expert. And the scope of the role, what it entails is we basically study the market nationwide. We study the market and we look at what other companies are paying a position. So at Banner Health, we work in healthcare. So we have physicians, we have medical assistants, we have corporate functions, so even accountants and human resource professionals. So we look at believe it or not, like over 75,000 positions, and we look at the external market to see what other competitors are paying, so we can make sure that we are paying them, our employees, competitively, and that we stay ahead of the market so we don't have, retention challenges.
Wow.
So a lot of numbers, a lot of analytical work, and it's such a good fit for me because I love people as well. I love talking to people. So having, my analytical background, the love for numbers, and having the people skills was a really good merge, really good balance. So I think with that good balance and the appreciation of what I do, really accelerated my journey in my career as a compensation analyst, and now senior compensation consultant, which is one level, below like the director of the department, overseeing so many employees, like you mentioned in my intro, and having so many service lines to support. So I'm in a really good place right now, but I will tell you, I'm not done with this, career journey. I don't think this is where I want to end up in terms of retirement. I think I'm in a good place right now, but I do feel and I envision my life take a whole different direction that's completely out of the corporate world.
Yeah, I mean, what you do already is like it seems so like comprehensive, and it seems like something that it's like a lot of responsibility in general. But yeah, I do see you as somebody, just because I do see you as somebody who would do something on a different path as well. I'm sure you'll stay there for a while longer, but I see you, opening up like your own business or starting something on the side as well, just because you're just so, and I wouldn't say motivated is the word. You're just so like hungry all the time just to do like better things and to become better. So yeah, I totally see it. I actually can't wait to see what unfolds for you in the future, because you're just like, you're brilliant to me. You're amazing.
You're so nice.
You're probably one of the people on this planet that I'm like the nicest to, but it's like so you're so sweet.
Aw, I know. We go way, way back, right? I mean, I've seen your ugly side, I've seen your very nice side. And I don't know, there's just something about you. And I know the podcast is about interviewing me and stuff, but I do really want to highlight the person that you are, because through all the ups and downs, like there's like your essence, just your true energy is so compassionate and so attractive. Like you attract people. They just, people are just gravitated towards you. And the people that really take the time to know you at a deep level, like really will appreciate you. Like I do. Like I see you not for your beautiful face, not for your, your amazing body or any
Hi.
superficial stuff. I mean,
Hi.
but no, really, because I have seen you, through your worst and through your good times. I see the true essence of yourself, and I love you. Like I
Aw,
do.
we're gonna be crying by the end of this
I know.
podcast.
Do you remember the first time that you came back to Phoenix from traveling around the world with Luke? We went to the resort, the Royal Palms.
Oh yeah.
And then as soon as Luke like left the table, we were having like brunch. We looked at each other and we started crying.
I know.
You remember that? It was
Yeah.
like the craziest thing how like after so long, our first time alone, we look at each other and we start crying. That was
I
I know.
know. It's because we just have that type of connection. It's just one of those friendships, the ones that they always talk about that you guys don't see each other for like years. And then you finally see each other and you just like start right back where you were before. Like there's no like awkwardness. There's no like anything. It's just like, it's always like back in motion. Like it's amazing. It's a really good friendship. Thank you so much. You're so sweet. I know. Remember, we could just have this like as a normal like conversation too, but I am kind of like I have a few points that I do want to touch on for sure. Okay, so that time actually when I saw you in Phoenix, you were pregnant already, right? Was it very, very like, or you were talking about wanting to get pregnant?
Yeah, the idea was coming up in our, with my husband and I, we were talking about um, having babies because we were fortunate enough to have the stability, the finances, and the time to travel around the world. So we did a lot of traveling. We were at a point where okay, we've partied a lot. We've done, the festivals, we've done the traveling, we've done everything. Like, at this point in time, we were pretty in a really good spot where it's like, okay, let's start talking about having a family. And we did. It was a journey personally because I've been so independent for so long. Um, so getting my mental state right and knowing that my life was going to completely, and that's an understatement, completely change was something that I have to work through before I even got pregnant. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it is a totally different thing. I don't have kids, but even just like when you get one dog, even that changes like the dynamic, right? With
Oh
like the
yeah.
relationship, because then now you have to be getting up in the mornings to walk them. And I mean, I can't even imagine what it's like with a baby. So you got pregnant, I think, very soon after that, then, because I remember at the time you were talking about it, saying that you guys wanted to have babies. I was just like, oh my God, because it's also as like a friend you're seeing your friend going through like different chapters and you're like, oh my God, she's gonna start having kids. Like I can't
Yeah.
even believe this. It's so crazy. So then yeah, you got pregnant.
Mhm.
You had do you think you had a pretty comfortable pregnancy?
It was amazing.
Yeah.
It was one of the most calmest self developmental months of my entire life. I learned
Wow.
so much about my own power and my own ability to even to learn during not even 9 months. I was pregnant for 37 weeks only. So yeah, it was a really, when I look back, it was a beautiful time for me. Very.
Gosh, that's amazing. Okay, so also going back to the veganism aspect, how long were you already vegan before you got pregnant?
Good question. So I was a vegetarian first.
Okay.
So I was a vegetarian. I actually just celebrated my 7th anniversary from the day I became a vegetarian.
Wow.
I did my body fitness competitions as a vegetarian. Traveled as a vegetarian for 5 years, and then 2 years, just 2 years ago, it was it was my anniversary as a vegan. So vegetarian for 5 years, and then vegan for 2 years. So yes, when I was pregnant, by the time I got pregnant, I was already like way into the veganism and just being plant-based.
And then I know a lot of people are going to be kind of like, what the hell? Like she went vegan throughout her whole pregnancy. You didn't do any type of vegetarianism. You didn't do any of that.
None. Though I will confess that in the beginning of my pregnancy, I craved cheese so much. Like, oh, those cravings are for real. But I stuck with it. I just replaced my cravings with like the plant-based cheeses, which to me are pretty much the same. So yeah, it wasn't hard at all, actually. It was just natural for me to keep on living my life as normal as possible.
Wow, even through like the cravings. What did your family think about that? And like, what did your doctors think? How did everybody kind of take to that? Because I know I've heard people say that whenever parents like don't allow like their kids supposedly to eat animal products and whatnot, they call it like that it's not right, that the parent isn't doing like the right thing for the child and whatnot. But in reality, I feel like, hey, you're not doing the right thing by feeding them like a carcass
Yeah.
without even informing them of what they're eating. But what was some of the feedback you got on that?
Um, Definitely that I was being a little bit just too extreme, continuing my plant-based diet now knowing that I was, developing this human inside of me. And so I got a lot of pushback from my family, and my husband's family was a little bit not as receptive to the idea, which I really didn't care as much as I cared about Aaron's, my husband's feedback. He was actually very concerned. And I remember the day where we actually got into it, he was very concerned that I wasn't getting enough protein because, oh, vegans don't get enough protein, right?
Everyone's like, oh my God, where do you get your
Uh,
protein?
it was just like, so he opened up the conversation like, I really think you need to eat like at least egg whites. So more like you need to versus like, let's talk about this. Tell me how you feel about this idea. So immediately when he said you need to, oh, like
Hell
complete
no.
hell to the no, like, yeah, no. And we really got into it in a very constructive way. We were not fighting, but I said, listen, the moment that I start feeling weak or that something's happening with my baby, he's not developing fast enough or well enough, absolutely, I will reconsider it. Um, Kid you not, like 3 days later, we had a ultrasound, just like a checkup, and the ultrasound came back that he was actually 2 weeks ahead in terms of growth. He was 2 weeks ahead than what the baby should be at that time of my pregnancy, if that makes any sense.
Wow.
He was developing so fast, and his heart rate was always on point. Like, we never ever had any issues. And when we got out of that appointment, I looked at him and he's like, don't even start. Like, I get it. Okay. Yeah.
You're all, what?
What now?
Bring
What?
it.
So ever since that day, he never brought it up. And even to this day, now that our baby's here, he doesn't push on, oh, you need to give him a little bit of egg whites, or you need to give him this or that. He just lets it be. I mean, he's so healthy. He's so big. You saw him.
Yeah, he's huge. He's
He,
freaking adorable. He's so cute. He's so sweet. He's so quiet. He has like these long, like black eyelashes and
yes.
like beautiful, like dark black hair. And he's so cute, but he's huge. You're totally right.
He's
He's
huge.
big. He's super healthy.
And he literally just turned 1. If I get this a lot, like he looks like he's close to being 2. He's
Totally.
off the charts in height and weight. In weight, like people think vegans are so skinny and so deprived, and they're lacking everything. Like, no, I think we it's not that we're here to like tell to shut them up, but really for them to see that there's other ways. You have options with your lifestyle and your eating habits. And if you're vegan, amazing. If you're not, that's your choice. And you don't have the right to pick at people for you know, for not being aligned to your own beliefs and stuff. So
Yeah, I think that's why I kind of like laid off on like being because when you first start, you're kind of like the aggressive vegan and you're just like telling everybody off.
uh,
And, like, and I think I started
yeah.
off like that as well. And so did Luke. And I would even tell him like, dude, you need to chill out a little bit. Like we're coming off a little too strong. Like people are going to stop talking to us. But then after a little bit, you kind of like chill out because it is true. It's people's choices. But it's also nice to inform people
Yeah.
what's going on. So I just kind of pepper it in there every so often, like on my social media.
Yeah. No, and I think people just need to be educated,
Yeah.
period. Like everybody goes through their own journey and everybody learns different ways. And I was never pushy, like, oh no, I don't want you to eat meat in front of me. Like, we're not gonna be friends. Not that type of person, but I just let them see my own journey, let them experience what I do as a parent, as a competitor, bikini competitor, fitness, all that stuff, that it's possible. It really is. And then everybody makes their own decisions and assumptions, and that's their way.
So a little bit about Alex as well is that she actually did bikini competitions. What are they called again? WBFF? Yeah.
Yeah, you got it.
Yeah, WBFF. So that one in particular, I guess it's like the prettier the competitions because you guys get in really like nice shape, but then you also have kind of like a gown competition in it, correct?
Yeah, think about Victoria's Secret. You do the walk. You're just up in like a lot of like bling bling, and yeah, Victoria's Secrets meets the fitness world type of thing.
Yeah. So it's a really nice like competition. And I remember before that you weren't into fitness when you were younger, right? When you were like in high school and everything like that, like you weren't, it's not like you were like big or anything, but you just weren't like into fitness at all.
Right. Right.
And then after that, you just like developed this like crazy amazing body and you've kept it up for that long. I mean, it's been years and you've completely kept it up. You're always slim, you're always super healthy, muscular, like teeny tiny. It's really, really crazy. Like she's tiny, guys. What size of like pants do you use?
Right now, one.
Yeah, one.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Oh, and she just had a baby. So what the hell? No, so she got into fitness. She got really, really into it. And how many times did you do the competition already?
Twice.
Twice. Okay.
So yeah, the second time I actually got my pro card.
And when you got your pro card, you did it while you were vegan, right?
I was a vegetarian still.
Vegetarian. Okay.
I was
Okay.
a vegetarian still. Yeah. But I if I compete again, which I think I will just at least one more time as a mom and as a vegan, I will definitely do it again.
Do you ever find yourself feeling like a little bit like tired or feeling like you have any deficiencies, or did you already kind of like balance all your vitamins? You have everything kind of like set to where you feel totally fine at all times?
Yeah, I think I found a good balance for myself. Everybody's different. I take B12 supplements. I take flaxseed oil for the omegas. I take vitamin D. So those are like the three supplements that could potentially, as a vegan, you could be lacking.
Yeah.
So I'd rather supplement, to better be safe than sorry. But that said, the one thing is like I'm always hungry. Literally, I'm always hungry. And if you think about it, that makes sense because if all you're eating are veggies and fruits, plant-based, your body just goes through that so quickly. So you're always hungry. And I eat a lot and I have a really hard time gaining weight. Not that I want to gain weight, but it's just such a perfect balance and lifestyle for me,
Yeah.
really. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually was about to, because I don't take any type of like flaxseed oil or anything like that. I actually need to go get it because I'm noticing that I'm getting a little bit of a, when your joints kind of just, or yeah, your joints, where it just kind of starts sounding kind of creaky.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if
Yeah.
it's because I'm getting older too.
You're
I'm
getting
like,
old, Karla.
But anyway, my left knee's been kind of like creaking on me and my shoulder too. And I've been noticing it. And I told Luke, I'm like, you know what? Like, I don't take any type of like flaxseed oil or anything like that. No type of like oil specifically for that kind of stuff where people would normally take that, eat fish would take like the salmon omega-3 fatty acid kind of like pills. And I don't take any of that. So I actually have a store like literally a block away. I'm going to go to hopefully today or tomorrow and buy that because I think it's really necessary.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like I'm open to where if I start feeling really shitty
Yeah.
and none of the supplements work for me and I'm just started like looking really sick, or if you know your body, you know what is wrong. You know how to start even attacking it or helping it. So I'm so open that even though I'm vegan and I'm pro animals and I'm pro that lifestyle, that the moment that I start seeing myself kind of like going down or
Yeah.
feeling, and my baby as well, right now he can make his own decisions, I would totally go back to a vegetarian style. I don't think I could ever go back to eating meat,
Mm-mm.
but health comes first, so you always have to keep that in mind and do what's best for you, whether that means going back to vegetarian style or eating fish again. Yeah, it doesn't really matter because health always comes first.
Yeah, it does. I think for a little bit there, my saying in the beginning was like when people were like, oh, did you go vegan for like your health? And I'm like, dude, I don't even care about me. Like, it's not about me. It's not about my body. It's about the animals. But then you kind of start going through it and you start feeling like shit. Sometimes you're like, okay, never mind. Like, I do
Yeah.
need these vitamins.
Yeah.
yeah, like I mentioned to you before, Luke had to go back to being like vegetarian, and he'll have to eat fish every once in a while. And literally the first time he had to eat the fish, he was like practically crying because he didn't want to do it. He's like, I don't want to do this. And he's like, but I feel like shit. Like I'm doing all the vitamins. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to be doing. He's like, and I don't feel good. Like I can't think. I have like, it was just like a mess for him. And that's something that I've also started to tell people, that everybody's like different as well. Like everybody's going to react to food differently. Like there's people with peanut allergies, and I don't have peanut allergies, you know. There's people that are glucose intolerant, and like I mean, I'm not glucose. What is that again? It's that
Gluten.
one. Gluten. There we go. Gluten intolerant. They can't eat it. They start breaking out in rashes. And I just can't, I can't think that everybody has like the exact diet specifications like that. There's one blanket you know, nutrition for everybody
Yeah, no
from what
way.
I've seen, you know. So yeah, I mean, if you can be vegan and it's working for you, then that's amazing. You know, trying everything possible. If you feel that you're maybe getting a little bit sick, then maybe start considering like putting a few different things into your diet again. But yeah, ultimately, I don't think that the body needs. I mean, my body doesn't need any type of like red meat. I don't need pork. I don't need any type of animals. Very rarely I'll do eggs, but even then I kind of feel funky about it. So like,
Mm,
yeah, no, I
yeah.
totally understand.
And then you think about it, like if the purpose behind going vegan is to help our environment, you know, the animals, the compassion aspect of it, one day out of the week makes a huge difference. So it's like you don't have to cold turkey, like no pun intended, like cold
Aha.
turkey, cold turkey, like go vegan. Because that's also setting yourself up for failure. You have to gradually, you know, allow your body as well to get to that extreme of like, you know, going from eating meats per se, and the very next day going to veganism. Like that's a shock to your body as well, your system. So just like anything else, it takes time. It's a gradual process. And, you know, it makes a difference at the end of the day. So don't, like what I told Luke when I saw him this December, and I think I've told you too, it's like, don't be yourself, Red. Like one day, one minor decision really does make a huge impact, believe it or not.
Yeah, it really, really does. That's what I tell people too. I'm like, it's nice to be cutting stuff out like that. It's not good for your body anyway. Like, I mean, if you have too much, I've done the thing where I used to do like the fitness, like not fitness competitions, but I used to do like the beauty pageants, right? And my trainers used to put me on all meat diets. Like, I could literally, it was very little vegetables. It was like absolutely no carbs, like, well, aside from the vegetables, but like there wasn't any, you know, rice, nothing like that. They had me eating nothing but fish and chicken like 6 times a day. I would get super skinny and I would feel like shit. Like I felt terrible. I couldn't sleep. I was like depressed the entire time. My body was like going to shit. And I remember I was just like, well, this is what I got to do to like look nice, you know, to look good on stage and stuff. But it's like, no, dude, you don't need to be eating like an animal like 20 times a day. It's just not good for your body whatsoever.
Yeah, no way. I mean, your mental state too. Like, did you feel like you started developing like a bad relationship with food after that as well?
Oh, totally. I think I caught, and this is like, I mean, I'm admitting this right now. I actually like started getting like, I wouldn't want to eat. And if I ate too much because it was like my cheat day, I'd go throw up sometimes. Like I got really, really bad. Like I was like psychotically like obsessed. And I mean, I also blame it on the pageant systems and all of those, you know, because you're just trying to look so perfect. But yeah, I developed a terrible relationship with food. And it took me a long time to shake that because I was just like, oh my God, I need to be like perfect. I need to be perfect.
Yeah, that's horrible. And that's what usually happens when you go to an extreme. So whether you eat meat all the time or like, you know, like veggies all the time and not have a balance for a cheat day. Like I'm vegan, I eat most of the time veggies and fruits, but I also can have like the junk vegan food, right? Like
Yeah.
Oreos and whatever. Having a balance regardless of your lifestyle is very important because it does fuck you up, you know,
It does
mentally.
fuck you up.
It really does, mentally, and that goes with everything. You know, I see a lot of fitness competitors that just go through like so much depression, and you know, they blow up from one day to another because of those extremities. So
Yeah, I remember one of the times that it was the time that I was doing Miss El Paso, and then I finished. I didn't finish. I mean, I didn't win, and I got like really sad. So for like 3 days straight, I was eating whatever the hell I wanted. I gained like 8 pounds, and then I couldn't get rid of them anymore. I
wow.
went back to like the gym, and I was trying to like do everything back to normal again. But I just went from such an extreme of like barely eating. My trainer at that time, I'm not even kidding you, had me at one point a whole month on protein shakes, no food. 1 month, dude.
Of
I've
just
actually
liquid
done
protein shakes.
I've actually done 1 month of nothing but protein shakes with absolutely no food, not one bite. Yeah.
That was you're probably like really miserable. Nobody liked you at that month.
Miserable. Yeah, no, miserable. Everybody hated being around me. Nobody liked me. Like, yeah, but I mean, it really does mess up your body when you are going extremes. I have a lot of girls that actually ask me on Instagram. They're full on like they eat everything, right? And they're like, hey, I'm gonna try like a the vegan diet. I'm going to start in January and it's going to be a raw vegan diet. And I replied to them like, dude, you need to like relax a little bit. Like I understand like your heart's in the right place. You're trying to do something good for yourself, but you're like totally setting yourself up for failure. Like I would never even do a raw vegan diet. That's
Yeah,
like raw. Oh my God. I have never done it, but it sounds really extreme to me.
too extreme. Yeah. Do you remember when you decided to go vegan, you messaged me. I think you were going through the same thought of like dilemma, like how do you even start your vegan journey, right? I remember one day you DM'd me, you messaged me and asked me like, how do you do it when you read those packages that say, this is a vegan,
Mm.
product, but it may be processed in a facility that contains milk and stuff, and
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, don't even go there, because if you start basing your decisions on things you can't control, like where the product is being processed, or even when you go to a restaurant and you order something that's vegan, and maybe they make you a salad per se, and they say the salad is mixed in an area where they cook the chicken or they put other stuff that's not vegan, and then you eat it, like you can't control that. You can't predict that. And if you start like living your life like very paranoid, for the lack of a better term, about that, like you're gonna go insane. So I think like as long as you make that conscious decision to not eat an animal product, it's more than sufficient, because you really can't control anything else outside of your own decision.
Yeah, no, you start going miserable. I think
Oh
like in the
God.
beginning it was really, really tough because I was trying to be super, super perfect. So I was like, okay, we can't go to any restaurants that like cook animals.
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, let's limit ourselves to like 1% of all restaurants in like whatever city we're in. And it depends what city you're in, right? Because
Yeah.
especially for us, because there's some places, I mean, they're just like, what the fuck? What do you mean vegan? Like, what is that? What do you
Mm.
mean? And I'm like, yeah, do you guys cook your beans with like pork fat? They're like, yeah, of course. And I'm like, then I can't eat it. They're like, well, what do you want then? Like,
Lettuce.
but you do actually start becoming miserable. Like you go to the grocery store, you start looking at everything and like it sucks. Almost everything has some type of animal product. And it's just like, dude, really? You really needed to put that in here? Like why? Like who even thought of that? I think it just becomes such a like cheap commodity that they just decide to throw like animal in everything.
Yep.
How
Yeah.
do you handle like the whole thing with like clothing? Like there's things that are leather, there's like shoes. How do you deal with that?
No, I don't even touch it. Like I've
Yeah.
never been. I like the leather look, so get pleather, which is
Yeah.
the leather. I actually, it's so funny you say that, because in my closet when I was a little girl, one of my cousins gifted me a leather, like long white coat. It's a beautiful coat, but it's leather and it's been sitting in my closet for so long. And obviously that goes against my beliefs right now, and I don't think I'll ever use it. Like, what do I do with that? Should I sell it? Should I just keep it? But back to your main question, like I don't even think about it. Like it's not an option for me to buy a leather jacket or leather shoes or purse. Nothing like that. No.
So you don't throw out, you just don't use anything that you had before that was leather either?
Right. Yeah. I just don't use it. And honestly, I don't think I ever owned anything leather but that jacket that was gifted to me. And the last time that I wore it was for a wedding photo shoot that I did, because it was, it's white and it's really pretty. Other than that, it's been 4 years. It's just there in my closet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't buy anything leather either. Neither does Luke. I think the only problem came with was like the expensive shoes that we had from before we were vegan or vegetarian. So I'm not gonna throw out the Louboutins. Like it's like fuck. You know what I mean? They're like the
Yeah.
only black pair of like high heels that I have that I travel with me. And then he has like a pair of like the some Ferragamo shoes too. And he's like, that's the questions we were asking ourselves in the beginning. We're just like, what do we do with this stuff? And it's just kind of like, we can't like throw it out. Like we already have it. Like let's just promise to not buy anything in the future, you know? So I think those are the only two products that we have that are not vegan, of course. And even then he's just like, well, what are your shoes made out of? And I'm like, dude, I'm like fucking lamb. Like I don't understand why they would kill like a little baby sheep. Like what the
God.
hell? And that's when he was just like, oh my God. He's like, I do want to get rid of them then. And I'm just like, it's up to you. I don't know. That's it starts getting kind of crazy. If anything, I know for like Christmas, he had told me afterwards, he was like, I was looking at purses for you. He's like, I really wanted to get you like a YSL purse. He's like, first off, it's really expensive. He's like, but then I went and like started looking at what they're made of. He's like, and they're all made out of lamb. And I'm
Mhm.
like, I know, dude. I'm waiting on like a high end like vegan purse to come out because I think that's like the thing that pains me the most. Like I like having a few little like name brand things, but you can't do it with the purses. You can't do it with like the shoes anymore. It sucks. I really like
Yeah. No, but what I'm seeing now is that veganism, or at least maybe not vegan, but just the awareness of animal cruelty, just equality. I think it's reached out to so many people. Thank goodness for the social media platform and online.
yeah.
That now people are more aware of that. And my guess is that we're gonna have more companies that are going to conform to that veganism or animal equality lifestyle. So I don't know if Louis Vuitton will ever create a vegan bag, but from a consumer perspective, we're going to have more people that are going to want that. And I think it's just a matter of time when we start seeing businesses open up, that option for more of their consumers. I mean, you think
Yeah.
about it, it's a really good business decision if they do that.
Yeah, I totally think so too. I think if like even one of the big top brands decided to just like make at least one line of like vegan shoes or vegan purses, they would sell out like immediately because everybody, all the girls that are vegan or vegetarian, they're just waiting for it. Everyone's just like, come on, like there has to be
Yeah.
something that can be like name brand and really good quality that didn't have to sacrifice a life to make it.
I know, hence Kat Von D's shoes and line. So excited. Aaron told me he was gonna get me some shoes from Kat Von D, but of course they're like sold out.
They are, huh? You see,
Yeah,
they're selling out because she's smart. She knew.
yeah, definitely. I mean, it's just a matter of time, honestly.
Yeah, no, I can't wait. Okay,
Yeah.
let's get into hypnobirthing. So my friend here is a badass bee, and if you guys don't know what hypnobirthing is, oh my God. So she had little baby Alesso without any pain medication, nothing whatsoever. And she did it all through the power of hypnosis. So if you guys don't know what hypnosis is, it's basically you go like into a trance. It's almost like meditation. I do a lot of like my morning stuff is like meditation and they're like hypnosis. And you basically like just take yourself into just such a deep state of calmness that you don't feel anything around you. You just like completely sink in. Can you tell everybody about what it is exactly perfectly and then like what your experience was with that? Because it's crazy. When she told me she was going to do this, I was like, okay, this girl's like gone off the deep end because what do you mean you're going to have this baby with no medication? Like I've always thought like, yeah, if I have a baby, I'm definitely going to get like every single injection they can give me like
Right.
for the pain. But then I started like she started talking to me about it and I'm like, wow, that actually makes a lot of sense. Why wouldn't you go with that route? Okay, so yeah,
Yeah.
talk to us a little bit about that.
Oh man, I'm so excited to talk about this topic specifically because when I talk about my birth story, it surprises me how many people don't think this is possible or how it's even an option for a woman. So I remember before I got pregnant, like, years and years before I got pregnant, no brainer, I'm getting a C-section. Like, I don't have to like go through the pain. I can schedule my baby's birthday. Like, how awesome does that sound? And I got pregnant with that mentality, like, I'm gonna have a C-section, everything's gonna be awesome and easy, whatever. But the person I am, I love to learn. I literally become obsessed with whatever I'm going through. So whether it's, like finances or whatever, like I got pregnant. Oh my God, my obsession like kicked in. So I started like doing a lot of research about birthing babies, and I came across obviously the typical C-section, the epidural, hospital birthing, home birthing. And the more I started learning about the benefits of having your baby naturally, like there was no question about it. Like I'm just gonna get into it. When I told Aaron about it, he thought like, you are such a hippie. Not
Yeah.
only
Such
like
a hippie.
hippie, right? Like you think about that, like, oh, this girl is vegan, this girl is all about like animals, the planet Earth, peace and love. Yeah. And now she's trying to have a home birth with no medication. Like he was just like, you're absolutely insane. Like, I'm not gonna let you have our baby, our first baby, at home, especially at home. So I was like, let's just go through the course, because there is a course. It's about a 5 or 6 week course that's taught typically by a midwife or a doula. And these are coaches and or professionals that specialize in, births. So you know that you're having experts walk you through the process and kind of teaching you how to get to that mental state where you can have a birth with no pain. So we went through the courses, and he was on board the very first day, really. Um, there is a lot of research, and there's actually a really good documentary for moms out there who are kind of entertaining the idea of hypnobirthing and the benefits of it. There's a really good documentary by, I think her name is Rachel Lake. I can't think about it right now, but it's basically the business of giving birth. And it's around how hospitals and society over the years has instilled this fear in moms who go to who have babies. um it becomes a fearful thing, a very painful thing. Like moms are treated as sick people, when the birthing process and getting pregnant, it's such a healthy process in our womanhood. So it was just like really how society and hospitals instill that fear in you, and hospitals making money out of you because of that fear. um so anyway, so hypnobirthing was such an amazing experience, because you really find the power in yourself to go through something so phenomenal and crazy, to have a human being literally pop out of you, literally. And my baby, I will tell you, so he didn't go the 40 weeks. He was I gave birth to him when I was 37 weeks. He was almost already like 8 pounds.
Vegan baby too.
Yes, the vegan babies.
Wow.
So and I don't know, it was just like one of the best decisions I've ever made. It really changed me as a human being and my mentality, for sure.
So I was doing a little bit of research on hypnobirthing prior to this, and I already had seen a couple of videos the past 2 weeks, because we've been trying to record for the past 2 weeks, and then finally we did it today. But today, while I was at the gym, I started looking at some videos, and I came across this one where the girl's actually kind of going through with it. And she starts off in the beginning. She's like, "Hey guys, so I think this is it. I think today's the day I'm gonna have my baby, feel really good." And I'm just like, okay, why the hell is this lady so calm? Like,
She's not screaming.
yeah, she's about to have like this like huge baby come out of her vagina, and she's just acting like it's totally normal. And I was watching it, and I said to Talix, I'm like, you're crazy. You guys are all crazy. Okay, so then tell us, okay, what did that training kind of consist of, the workshop that you went through? Like, what is it that they're training you on? what is the hypnosis that you're having to go through? I know very little about it. I just know that the other one, you know, when she was at the hospital, she said that she had her headphones on and she had to listen to like the music so she could be, you know, in sync with it so that everything was going as expected and stuff. But yeah, talk to me.
Yeah, so this is a textbook that we were given. It's called Hypnobirthing by the Mongan Method. And Mary Mongan, she's actually the creator of hypnobirthing. But anyway, the course walks you through like the physical aspects of giving birth, you know, your hips open, your cervix, and all that stuff. But most importantly, I think what makes a difference in the course is the homework that is given to you. So when you go home, you literally have to change your whole mindset that day going forward to when you're sleeping, you know, affirmations, meditation, when you're going even when you go poop, imagine that you're, I know it sounds like, oh, right? But it's like, imagine that natural process of, you know, going to the restroom is just the same natural process of pushing a baby out, you know, the breathing. I remember when I would go to the gym and my muscles, you know, when you're on the 20th rep or 15th rep and your muscles like burning really fast or like really, really bad. I remember my mind thinking like, okay, this is a surge. A surge is the same thing as a contraction, like breathing through that pain, right? Um, so you go through like a lot of meditation exercises, a lot of affirmations and visualization, a lot of that. And you think about it, this is the stuff like that successful people talk about, you know, when it
Yeah.
comes to business, when it comes to anything. It really is all about the mind and the mindset, where you literally have to shift your perspective to get to a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And even with hypnobirthing, they teach you how to change your vocabulary to not, you know, to get that fear or that stigma out of your world. So surges, we call it contractions, we call them surges or waves. You know, you're
And
going
I
through,
saw that online that they changed it because they said that contraction just sounds too ugly. That they
yeah,
wanted to give it like a nicer name so that you could start having nothing but positive thoughts about birthing.
exactly. Like when, you know, you're pushing your baby out. No, you're breathing out your baby.
Wow.
Um, yeah. So it's literally changing the day, every single day, thinks of, you know, your vocabulary, your breathing techniques, your meditation, affirmations. And I did that for a whole, I want to say like 5 months, because I didn't start my hypnobirthing until maybe like halfway through my pregnancy. I had 5 months of preparation. Every single day, meditate, affirmations, and just visualize this beautiful, beautiful, painless birth. And I read a lot. I studied a lot. Again, I become very obsessive with something that's going on with my life, and that completely shifted my mindset about, you know, my pregnancy, my birthing. But even afterwards, becoming a mom is it's really difficult, to be honest with you. It's just your world just completely changes so drastically in a second, that having that mental power and that strength that you built over so many months really carries on to now, the, you know, the world of being a mom and the new chapter that you're entering with the baby in your arms. So it's not just for pregnant. I mean, it's not just for the birthing process, but I think really benefits people in the long run, long term.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like I talk about meditation in general and affirmations in almost every single one of my episodes because it really is something that changes your life. And yeah,
Mm.
that's amazing that it can be used also with having a baby. That's so crazy to me. So then did you end up having Alesso at your house or did you actually go to the hospital?
Okay, so no, that was actually a compromise between us. So when I told him that I wanted to go through hypnobirthing, you know, he was then eventually open to that idea with the compromise or the caveat that I would need to have it at a hospital. And I completely understood because, you know, this is our first baby. We've never gone through this before. You know, you can try as much to stay calm, but what happens to the baby and just, you know, any problem, just for peace of mind, he wanted to have like the doctors there and the nurses. So yeah, I on the next baby, I definitely want to do home birthing. Like that would be ideal.
I have a question about all of that because I know nothing about that. But do they still charge like your insurance or you the same amount if you were to have the baby at home? And then afterwards, he has to be, how does that happen? He would have to be transported to the hospital afterwards to do all the paperwork or like, or if you like, how does that work? You probably know, especially since you work at a hospital.
Yeah. So I actually look into home birthing and it's more expensive, believe it or not. Out of
What?
pocket. Yes, right? Again, it goes back to, hospitals and the business of giving birth. Um, with my insurance, and I picked like the top tier of my insurance so I won't pay a lot out of pocket. Working or giving birth at the hospital was significantly cheaper than giving birth at like a at home or birthing center because it's not covered by insurance.
Oh,
So even
okay.
though I didn't pay a lot out of pocket giving birth at the hospital, the insurance paid the hospital. Believe it or not, I got the itemized bill. It was like $27,000 that it cost to have my baby at the hospital. But luckily, I didn't pay that out of pocket, right? But it's so expensive. They charge you for every little thing. And granted, I had my baby with no drugs, and they still
Whoa.
charge like $27,000, right? It just,
That is crazy. That amount is crazy. I'm not going to go into it in this episode, but I'll talk about it next time. I'm going to actually do a whole podcast on this. So, Luke and I were actually pregnant like 2 years ago, and we actually had a miscarriage, but it was super sad. So, yeah, I'm going to go into it completely. But we were going to have our baby in Buenos Aires. And you wouldn't even believe like the amount over there. We were just going to have to pay, I think it was like $200 a month for like the insurance. And then that would all go towards the birth of the baby. And then I wouldn't have to pay anymore. So it was literally, I think, what is that? 200 times 9. That was going to be the total amount.
100.
Yeah, that was going to be the total amount for having the baby in Buenos Aires.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And even when I went through my miscarriage, which like I said was terrible, I had to have an operation over there, the DNC, that was free, even for somebody that was foreign. So it's just fucking, and I know their economy is shit. I mean, it's like the worst economy. It's really, really bad. But it's just crazy when you compare like countries and like their insurance
Oh yeah.
policies. And I mean, the US is nuts. That's so expensive.
It's so, it's such a good business, just pharmaceuticals and the hospital, the healthcare is such a good business for those who have a stake in it. But for us as consumers, as patients, it's pretty shitty. It's really, really shitty.
Yeah, I don't have insurance in the US right now because I just don't ever live there. And I know people have told me like you should get like out of like country insurance and stuff, but then I'm like, I don't really need it because we're in Mexico at the moment. And it's like affordable here for us in case we ever needed anything. Anytime I need to go to the doctor for anything, we just pay for it out of pocket. I mean, it's way cheaper than having to pay for like a full insurance plan in the US. And then
Oh
especially
yeah.
you guys now, you guys are a family. So that just like skyrockets.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I'm definitely paying a good penny for insurance for my entire family. Yeah. But it is what it is, right?
It is, yeah. I mean, yeah. Anyway, I don't want to go into like insurance stuff, but I
I
was just
know.
wondering that because I figured like, hey, they're not doing any of the work. Like you have a home birth, like do they even charge you? Like, so then if you do have a home birth, what happens afterwards? Do you have to take the baby to the hospital or why are
No.
they charging you? What is it? What is it that they're charging you for?
If you go through the birthing center, which is like a home style birthing process, you still have midwives, you have like nurses that are there to support you and take care of the baby afterwards. So there's still that medical aspect of it. If the baby's healthy and everything checks out, there's no need to go to the hospital whatsoever.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know
So,
that.
yeah, it's you have options. Again, it surprises me how many people think that the hospital route is the only route to to have a baby. And dude, like if I can walk you through like what I went through at the hospital, like so
Walk me through it, actually.
yes, yes, I mean it's such a roller coaster. So 5 in the morning, on November 28th, which is it was our third wedding anniversary, my husband's and I, we woke up, just to start a normal day, and I felt just my body a little bit different, but I'm like, oh, it's just my body reacting to being so close to, having a baby. But I remember cramping, and I'm like, oh, that's just normal, whatever. I was actually having contractions. Like
Oh shit.
my water had broken. Unbeknownst to me, I continue my day working. I
How do
was
you
working.
not know that your water breaks? Don't you have like that dramatic like
Yeah.
splash and stuff or
No, see, and that's another thing. Like, it's not like in the movies when oh, my water broke. No, it can literally drip through the day. I mean, some women do have like their water just flush out of them, but like in my case and more common cases, it's just like it just drips through the day. So I was dripping, and I was like, oh, whatever, it's like normal. And
It's okay. I'm like all wet, no big deal.
yeah, literally, I was like, well, it's funny because I even told Aaron, and sorry for those like listening in TMI, but I'm gonna just talk raw stuff here. So I told Aaron, I'm like, look how much like liquid I have down here. And he was like, no, that's disgusting. I don't want to look. I'm like, okay, whatever. But I wanted to show him because it was a lot. I'm like, this is like a lot. But again, calm, didn't react to it. All the, practice meditation that I had kept me calm through the entire way. So I didn't think much about it. I was cramping, but stay calm. Didn't think much about it either. I worked, I did laundry, I cleaned the house. I
You're
did,
one of those ladies that like I've seen on TV that they're like, yeah, I didn't even know I was pregnant.
right?
Yeah, I
Yes.
didn't even know, but my baby was just on the floor all of a sudden.
Literally, that's how it was. I had no idea that this was happening. Not until that drip turned into a little bit of blood. Then when
Oh.
they say when it's bloody, definitely call your midwife. So I called my midwife. She checked me. She's like, "Baby girl, you're having a baby by the end. By tomorrow, you're gonna have a baby."
Oh
And
shit. That must feel so crazy.
it was it was so, like, I can't even describe it. What happened to me is I just cried, because not because I was scared, but because from 1 minute to another I was told you're having a baby like in a few hours, right? And as much preparation you do, that moment that it's happening is just like, fuck, like it's happening, right? um, so I didn't check into the hospital until maybe like 13 hours later. So my water broke, yeah, and then I went through my day and everything. I went to the hospital at 7 p.m. and and the doctors immediately like, oh, your water broke. It's been so long. We need to put you on Pitocin. We need to give you this. We need to give you that. And I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa. No, like immediately the moment I step into the hospital, right? Like I said, business, it's just a business. They try to like instill fear in you, and they try to like put you on so many drugs and so many things, because to them it's just like protocol. It's just typical day
Yeah.
of someone having a baby. But I went to the hospital with a birthing sheet. So for those ladies that are pregnant, make sure that you have a birthing sheet, and that literally spells out everything that you want your birthing process to be. And you can Google it, and you can just fill in the blanks. It will tell the nurses and the doctors if you want an epidural, if you want, to be laying down when you're pushing your baby, or do
Mm.
you want to walk around? Like, you're in charge of the process. And a lot of women don't know that you have that ability to print out a birthing sheet, hand it out to your providers, and they have to follow, your wishes. They have to
Yeah.
respect. Yeah. So, um, I I was in labor for 29 hours total.
Whoa. Okay, so I feel like a lot of people say that. They're like, "Oh, I was in labor for like, yeah, 24 hours, 29 hours." Like, what does that mean exactly? Are you just on and off in pain for those whole 29 hours?
Basically, yeah. So it starts from the moment like either your water broke or you start dilating. So it's yeah, it can take up to like some women like 30 plus hours, right? From the moment that you start like going through the contractions and like the dilating through the moment that you have your baby. So from the moment that I realized, and it could have been longer, because the moment I realized my water broke, which was 5 in the morning, to the very next day at 11 in the morning, that's 29 hours total. Um, Going through cramping, contractions, me not knowing about it, like 29 hours total. So at the hospital, I had, so you also have to be very mindful about your environment. You want to make sure that you feel comfortable in the room that you're in. So at the hospital, you have, cables, and you have a lot of machines that can be very intimidating. So you want to like bring your aromatherapy if you have anything like that. You want to bring like pictures or affirmations that you can tape on the wall. So you create your own environment, and you have that option. The hospital will respect that if if those are your wishes. The moment that a provider starts, pushing back on the things that you want, change providers. Again, you have the option to select the team that's going to help you with, birthing your baby. So if one thing that ladies that are pregnant can take away from like this podcast is that you have options. Do not let your husband, do not let the nurses, the doctors tell you otherwise. You follow your intuition. Like, you were made to do this. You were born to do this. You do it your way, and more power to you if you stick by that.
Yeah, like how you were saying, I've heard just all of these horror stories about also going into like the hospital, and then um yeah, like how you said they were trying to push like the drugs on you and whatnot. And then I mean, thank God that you didn't like need a C-section, because some people do end up having to like need emergency C-sections, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, and they actually talked about it with me as well, because, again, your water broke so many hours ago that your baby's prone to an infection. So we may need to even like get in there and get him out as soon as possible. So yeah, all that fear that's being instilled into you is unnecessary. But through the preparation of hypnobirthing, you build that strength and that calmness, then nothing should be able to disturb that. Not even like, the doctor's telling you like, oh, you need a C-section. Like,
That's incredible that, because it's one thing to like practice something, but then when it comes down to it, how you're going to react, it's like, when they do like fire drills, like you practice it at, at school and you're doing everything, you stop, drop, and roll, but then like there's actually a fire and everybody starts like going into like chaos. So I
I
feel like I feel like that's how a lot of people would probably be in your situation, but you actually like went through it, which is super admirable. Like you're like on a different stage, like you were right now. Gosh. So
well,
then
and
did you actually not feel pain? That's the part that I think everybody wants to know. Like, did you actually not feel the pain like all day long? You were in there for 29 hours.
yeah, yeah, you feel it. You absolutely feel something. I mean, you're a human being at the end of the day, right? Um, but you don't see it as pain. You rather see it as a wave. So the way contractions feel is like it starts with a cramp, like a small cramp, and then it builds up to something that's just like you can even talk through those contractions when you're at the very peak of the contraction or the surge or wave, whatever. Um, and then it comes down. So even though you feel something, you know for a fact that it's going to go away within seconds.
Yeah.
And then, as you get closer to 10 centimeters dilated, the contractions get closer and they get longer. But your body gradually helps you build yourself up, if you will, to be able to tolerate the waves at the end, which are the strongest waves. So I slept through the night. I slept through the night. Yep, I
Wow.
remember. So this is how calm everything was. So I had a doula, and it takes a village, like, to give birth to a baby. You have your nurses, providers, but I also had a doula, and a doula, she's basically a birthing coach. So given that Aaron, first time dad, I'm sure he would have freaked the fuck out, during the process. I needed someone to reassure me that everything was going to be okay, that breathe and just have that support system. So my doula and Aaron and I were sleeping through the night. That's how calm everything was.
How?
Yeah. And I remember during my sleep, so I was sleeping, but I was fully aware of what was happening because I will still feel those waves. But I have a really good Spotify playlist that I created with acoustic music, some of my favorite songs. I had a lot of Guns N' Roses. I love Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, I know you do.
I know, love GNR. So I had a combination of affirmations with music. So I just created this like audio playlist for myself to help me go through the surges and help me, I guess, distract myself away through whatever I was going. So I slept through it all. Not until 5 in the morning, I want to say, I woke up because everything was getting more intense, such more intense, and the contractions were getting closer and stronger. Um, so I think at that moment, I was starting to kind of lose it. I was so exhausted physically and mentally, just so done that I started to lose it. That I felt the contractions just getting a little bit less manageable. I was starting to like squeeze Aaron's hands really, really hard. And I was sweating and then I would get cold. Just my body was going through so much at the time that by the time that I had to push at 9 in the morning, I was physically just exhausted, just done. But with the support of my doula and Aaron, I pushed for 2 hours, like the most intense 2 hours of my life. Like it really took everything out of me to get my baby out. But it was it was still manageable. Like I can't go back and say, oh, the last 2 hours were the worst pain ever. No, it wasn't. I felt it. Yes, you're going to feel something. You're going to feel a lot of pressure. You're going to feel uncomfortable. But your mind is set to believe that it's manageable and you have more power than those contractions. And the more contractions you have, the closer you are to meeting your baby. And that just motivates you, knowing that every contraction you go through, each wave, it gets you closer and closer to meeting your baby.
It's like a race at the very end, right? When you're like super exhausted and you think you're gonna like pass out and you're like, I'm almost there.
No, what's crazy? I forgot to mention to you. So when I was ready to push, all of a sudden, there's 12 student nurses
Oh
going in my
no.
room. Oh my God. And I forgot to mention that, like, I think that distracted me a little bit from my trance and just my own, mental state, because all these like 12 strangers came into the room and witnessed me pushing my baby out with no permission, like no nothing. Like they just swarmed into the room and they started like looking at everything down there.
They can just do that? That's bullshit. That's really bullshit.
Yeah, I mean, I guess honestly, if they asked me for permission, I don't freaking remember because my head was somewhere else, right? But I don't recall anyone giving me the heads up, like, oh, by the way, we're gonna have like 12, students coming in here and seeing everything. But
I would have been livid. Like I would have like wanted to kill somebody afterwards if that happened.
I
Oh
know,
my God.
like I honestly like didn't even care. It was like, what the fuck, like what's happening? But
You're like,
yeah, but it's you're like you're at a point that you just don't care too much about what's happening out there. You're just focusing on like getting your baby, into this world. Um, but yeah, they're just looking at everything and watching me. And when I pulled my baby out. So my midwife, she's like, okay, your baby's out. You want to grab him? I literally,
oh my
like
God.
Kourtney Kardashian, I think she did this. She literally like hunched down, like grabbed my baby, pulled him out. And I'm like, oh my God, like this thing,
That's fucking crazy.
it was the most like, it was indescribable. Like you can't put words to this like feeling, and just at that moment your whole life just changed. It was crazy. And then, well, and all the nurses eventually, they came to me and they thanked me. Like majority of them came and thanked me for allowing them to see this experience, because it's nothing they've ever seen before. Like you were so calm, like it didn't even look like you were having a baby. and they were just in awe of how it is possible to have such a calm, relaxing birthing experience and not have like people or women, you know, like screaming like in pain and like they're in torture. Like so that was really good to hear because in my head I thought I was acting like a maniac, just like pushing and breathing hard. But from their perspective, it was the most like relaxing and calming birthing they've ever seen.
That's amazing. So then after that, they're probably telling all of their friends, like, dude, this chick had a baby at the hospital. She was like on hypnosis. And
Right.
she actually did it with no medicine. Everyone's like, what?
Yeah. Yeah. And this is why
Wow.
I'm so excited that you're getting this out to your platform because it needs to be known that you, as a woman, have the option. And honestly, whether you have your baby through hypnobirthing, C-section, or epidural, it doesn't matter. Like you're a woman, you created this human life in you that's like powerful enough. But just know that you do have the option to go one direction if that's what you really, really want to do. And I will say that experiencing that as a woman, the ability to give birth to my child just naturally is is the best, the most empowering thing ever. Like I know that I can do whatever I set my mind to going forward because of this experience. Like if I can have a baby, an 8-pound baby with no medication, you better believe that I can do anything I put my mind to.
That's incredible. Oh my God. Thank you so much for sharing. That was one of the things that I was actually scared of when I was in Buenos Aires because their rate of having C-sections over there, I think it's more than 50%. But it's because they push it on everybody. Like they
Yeah.
push it just so that they can get a little bit extra money, you know, like the hospital. But I remember that's what I was thinking in the beginning. I was like, damn, how is this gonna happen? Like this is scary.
Yeah.
Like when you start thinking about it and you're like pregnant, you're like, oh shit, how am I gonna get this baby out of me? I still can't believe you went through with that route because I know you mentioned it to me, and I just thought like, what is she talking about? Like, why wouldn't you opt for medicine? Well, I mean, how was the recovery afterwards? How quickly did you kind of like were you just kind of back to normal, I guess?
Mm, um, so I want to say like maybe it took a couple of months for down there to feel a little bit normal, just better and normal. Um, but my body bounced back pretty rapidly because my diet, again, going back to veganism, having a plant-based diet through my pregnancy, and then nothing but like soups and veggies and very organic, healthy foods after my pregnancy really helped the recovery. But also staying active, like exercising through my pregnancy. I was very active. I was so active and so like in shape, I guess you could say, that 5 days before I had my baby, I went to a wedding in Mexico because I was in the
I remember that.
yeah, everybody thought I was crazy. I was
Yes.
putting myself through that. But I was the matron of honor for a wedding and I wasn't gonna miss it, right? So 5 days before I gave birth, I was on the dance floor, jumping up and down, dancing like there's no tomorrow. Like I was just like so active and so just myself, even though I had this big old panza, this big old belly in front of me, I was so myself because I made it a point to stay active. So I think that that lifestyle also transcended over to my recovery. So my body was able to bounce back really fast.
I bet that's what kind of like made Alesso want to come out already. He's like, all right, I'm getting FOMO. I don't know what's going on out there, but I need to be in there because
Yeah, it is true. Like there's actually like a joke in the family, right? That I went to Mexico and danced and all this up and down, just like the baby was ready to like go out and party it up. And yeah, I mean, it was
oh man, no, you're incredible. I seriously, I was even telling Luke right now in the morning, I was like, dude, I've been looking more and more into this whole hypnobirthing thing. And if we decide to have kids, I think I might go through with
Yay.
it. He's just like, are you serious? I was like, yeah. I'm like, it actually sounds like really like it's just down the line of everything that I already kind of like believe in anyway, you know? Like, why wouldn't I go down that route? He's like, you're hardcore. He's like, both of you. He's like, she's really hardcore. If you do it, you're hardcore too.
Oh no, I totally believe in you. I think you can definitely do it. I mean, and having Luke as like your, birthing partner, which, he's up here too from a mental state, like, oh, you're golden. You would definitely be able to
Yeah,
do it.
it's so important, right, to have a partner that's like on the same page as you in everything in life. Like if they're kind of not on the same page, it makes things a little bit more difficult. But I can see why in that specifically, like the guy has to be, or girl, whatever, the person has
Right.
to be like there with you and being supportive and not giving you any like pushback.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I said, it takes a village to give birth to your baby, but a birthing partner is irreplaceable. Even as a parent, like I can't imagine raising my baby without Aaron's, you know, guidance and support and love. Just so important.
So all three of them are super like chilled out. It's really crazy. Like I saw them when they had first gotten together, and then I saw them all together finally in December. Like
Hmm.
the whole family is like zen. Like everybody's just calm. They're all like, "Hey, Karla, how are you? Like, nice to see you again." The baby, he's super calm too. I'm like, geez, it really. It's something that I have noticed with people that that do a lot of meditation or that are big like yogis. You can feel it. Like you can feel like their aura. They're just so calm, and you're literally one of those people. And I'm like, damn, I want to become like that. Like I want to be super chilled out all the time. So I'm working on it, but seriously, it's very noticeable in you. You're just so calm. And I bet you anything that's why Alessa's so calm.
Yeah,
You're just so calm throughout the whole like pregnancy, afterwards, the birthing itself was so calm. I think it totally transcended into him.
I had a prenatal massage done when I was pregnant, and the lady that gave me the massage, she teared up during the massage because she said she sensed the baby's energy. Like, because the prenatal massage is like all about the belly, right? So afterwards, when we talked, and she's like, "Thank you." Like, she didn't charge me anything for the massage because it it helped her in a way, I guess. I'm not sure. She didn't really explain too much into it, but she just said like your baby has such amazing pure energy that I teared up during the massage. And of course, being hormonal, I freaking started crying as well, like, oh, my baby. Uh, I'm so excited to like see him, grow up and just become this little amazing human being, vegan or not. I think he will still be a great human being regardless. I'm just in my life, Karla like has changed so much, and I know especially moms who are pregnant and they want to know this. Like, yes, your life is going to completely change, and you're gonna have bad days. You're gonna have really good days, but just because you are a mom to another human being doesn't take away from the fact that you are a human yourself. So allow yourself the grace to go through the bad days, learn from them, be aware of why you're feeling a certain way, and give yourself praise for all the good days and all the little victories that you have throughout the motherhood life. Um, and I think a lot of women who go into motherhood become so depressed, and it's like postpartum depression is such a real thing, and not a lot of people talk about it. I was pretty blessed enough to not go through it myself. I did have, a few bad days, but again, like I mentioned earlier, the hypnobirthing process and just the mental state that I established when I gave birth transcended over to my motherhood, which is just why I think I didn't go into that depression. It's just because I'm aware of my feelings, I acknowledge my feelings, like let go, move on, and just take it day by day.
Yeah, that's so important to discuss. Yeah, I've heard that the postpartum depression is super heavy and super real. That's actually something and I need to get that out of my head. It's something I've actually feared because I already am the kind of person that can go very deep into depression. So I'm like, damn, I wonder if I would probably be one of those people. Something else I wanted to ask, and I almost forgot, is you had mentioned to me, and I hope you do want to talk about this. If not, I can just cut it out. But you had mentioned to me before that you didn't feel like you were
Yes.
fit to be like a mom, or you just didn't feel like the mom baby connection. Can you tell everybody about that? Because I know it's something else that a lot of people don't like to talk about.
Yeah, no, for sure. So I actually didn't picture myself as a mom. Wasn't sure if I wanted to have babies. It was just out of the question. But even, and I'll be completely honest and I'll talk about it. When I gave birth to my baby, even through the preparation of, through hypnobirthing and getting my baby out of my body, all of that sounds like surreal, but I did not feel an instant connection with him. I didn't feel like I loved him. And that's probably really harsh to say, but it's real. I remember holding him up to my chest and just feeling like, who are you? Like, what are you just, you just, came here abruptly into my life type of thing. I'm not sure if it was the hormones or just, again, not wanting to have kids in the past. I'm not sure. Yeah, so it took me a very long time. I was saying maybe like 3-4 months to feel like this is my baby rather than, oh, I have to take care of this little baby. So of course I was taking care of my baby. I was feeding my baby because that's what I had to do. That is the expectation. You as a mom, you need to take care of your baby. But I didn't feel compelled to want to take care of my baby, because I didn't really love him as much. I feel like he was just out of place in my life.
I remember
Um,
when you told me about that, I was like, holy shit. Like it sucks that she's going through that, but I'm so happy that she's being real with me and not lying about it, because I feel like so many women lie because they feel ashamed about that. And I remember I would ask you very often, I was like, hey, how are you feeling about him now? How are you feeling about him now? Do you like him now? She's like, yeah, she's all, he's really cool. Like he's growing on me.
I know, right? Yeah, it took a while, but yeah, it's so true. I think that's just the expectation that people put on you. Like, and you see it in the movies too, and like, I grabbed my baby and I immediately loved him. And although it's true to some people, maybe for some of us who don't feel that instant connection, it doesn't make you any less of a mom. That connection and that love will eventually come naturally. It's like the rule, right? It's inevitable for you to love your own baby, whether that comes 2 years later, or a month later, whatever. Everybody goes through their own journey. Everybody processes things very differently. And for me, it took a good while to finally say, I fucking love my baby. I'm
Yeah.
obsessed with him. Like right now, I'm obsessed. But back then, I looked at him and like, oh, qué feíto está, like,
Aww.
yeah, like I did not think he was cute at all. And now I think he's just like the most adorable thing ever.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Luke always says, he's like, is there any way we can skip like the first 2 years? Like, he's like, I don't know what I would do with like a little like, and I'm like, you would love him, Luke. And he's just like, he's like, I want him to be like in the playing stage already, like where I can go like do stuff with him or her and like,
Yeah.
because I think when they're born, they all kind of look the same, I guess. They just
Mhm.
have like this little baby look and they don't move and they just, I mean, like I
Yeah.
said, I've never had a baby, of course, but like I have had puppies when they were teeny tiny and they're boring at that point. You're just kind of like, oh, you have to feed them a lot and they're just kind of like
Yeah.
crying all the time. And I've never been a fan of puppies in general. I've always been like, it's always best when they get older and they're like their own little person. And I kind of feel like that's how I'm going to feel with the baby. Like,
Yeah.
they're little, they're tiny. You have to take care of them. I don't know. I can't even say how I'm going to be because I don't know.
Yeah. But it's true. It's like, even for men, Aaron was the same way actually. Aaron said like, can we just skip the newborn stage? I'm like, and I would get like kind of pissed off because it's like, oh yeah, he's not gonna be this little forever. Like, just enjoy him. And
Mhm.
he would say too, I just want to skip the newborn stage and get like to the fun stuff.
He's
And
like, I want to play football.
yes, yeah, like it's so funny. And yeah, I mean that would be so much easier for all of us because the newborn stage is hard AF. It is so hard. When I see things like on social media and online, how they portrayed the postpartum bodies, like how is the woman supposed to bounce back to that amazing shape of a body, like from one day to another? That's unreal. Like that is not real. Photoshop can work magic, and that's when you see that online, like that's probably what it is. But
It's
even
so
like,
annoying to me, all that shit, honestly. It really
oh my
like makes
God,
me pissed because I'm like, dude, like even me, I don't have a kid. I don't look like these bitches. And they're
yeah,
trying to
no,
portray to the world that they've like gone through this like crazy thing that their body's doing. And they're showing themselves with like abs and this and that. And like they're just showing off. And it's like, God, it's just like, I get it. You're proud that your body looks amazing, but it really fucks the whole world up. Like everybody's just like messed up in
yes.
the head from it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's, and hence, again, I think that emphasizes the postpartum depression because all of a sudden a woman is not good enough because she doesn't look this way, or, you know, she or her, or even like now I'm going through the stage where like my baby, he's 13 months, he's about to be 14 months. He's still not walking completely, but then you start seeing, you know, other babies at the same age online, social media, they're walking, they're running.
Comparisons. Yeah.
Yes, you start comparing yourself, and it's like that is so unhealthy. So one of the things that I did through my hypnobirthing journey when I was pregnant is I disconnected myself from social media as much as possible because not only is a distraction from my end goal, but then the comparisons start kicking in, you know. And so that's another thing that I want to just advise or just share with others who are considering is disconnect from social media as much as possible because like you said, it will really fuck you up.
Girl, that's like a life comment right
Yes.
there. It's not just for this. It's like literally from everything. Like try to disconnect yourself from social media because it's gonna fuck you up in the head if you're like on it too much. It's
Yeah.
yeah, it's not good. You really do. You just start going down and I call it me and Luke call it the vortex. You just like go
Yes.
down into like this like you land in this person's page and at the end you're like, why am I on this page? Like why am I like comparing myself to this girl? Like she's a supermodel. Like, oh my God, what am I going to do with my life? I can't even imagine after having a baby how. No, I feel for all the women out there that, you know, have had their babies and that they don't feel good. I've had discussions with, I have a few other friends that after they gave birth, you know, they tell me they're like, honestly, like, I'm tired, Carla. They're like, this sucks. Like, it's not what you
Yeah.
think it is. Like, she's like, I'm really tired. And there's just so much pressure everywhere from family and like everybody wants you to be a certain way or look a certain way. She's like, I'm honestly like exhausted. And I'm just like, oh my God, like, I wish I could take your pain away. It
Yeah.
sucks.
You literally get maybe 2 hours of a break every single day because newborns, they have to be fed every couple of hours, like 2 in the morning, 4 in the morning, midnight, and you don't sleep. You literally don't sleep. And it's not like your husband, like Aaron didn't have the option of helping me as much because I had the milk, I had the boobs, right? So I had to breastfeed. So it's a really, really hard phase, especially, you know, like you have your hormones. Not only do you have to take care of another baby, but you have your own hormones to deal with. Your hormone level, like when you're pregnant, they're like super, super high. When you're not pregnant, completely just like
Oh,
down. So that drastic of a hormonal balance within you creates, you know, mental instability, exhaustion, and you start really becoming this zombie. And maybe now that I talk about it, maybe that's why I was also so very disconnected from
mm.
from my baby because yeah, I can control my mind as much as possible, my thoughts, but the the physical aspect of my body, that's something that you can't really control. So hence why maybe I feel disconnected, the first few months, and then it got better. It just got better.
Yeah, like I had said, I'd never got that far in my pregnancy. I think I was like 3 months, yeah, 3 months ahead, and like I felt terrible. I was like depressed all the time. That's when we were living in Lima, in Peru. We were living there and I literally wanted to stay inside the entire time. We always talk about Lima, like the time that like I never came out of the apartment. I think I came out like 2, 3 times. I didn't want to be,
Wow.
yeah, literally in a month, dude. I only came out like 2, 3 times to like see the city a little bit. But I was literally like trapped in like the room the entire time because I didn't want to leave. All I was doing was watching like movies. I felt terrible. I was constantly crying. Like it was hard, and it was really hard on Luke too. He literally like lost his girlfriend, for that
Yeah.
while. And we were like, holy shit, is this how it's going to be the entire time? And yeah, I mean, I ended up losing the baby and that was like terrible on its
So
own.
was it more mental for you than physical? Like you were going through more mental challenges than physical?
Well, dude, I go through mental challenges every day. So if you can
Right.
imagine being pregnant, like it just like worsened it. So I mean, yeah, I just quadrupled the way I felt all the time. But yeah, I just felt very exhausted all the time. I was like tired. I had no energy. I couldn't go to the gym whatsoever. I think at the time that's when I first tried being vegan, but I didn't realize that I tried being vegan because I was so grossed out by the smell of everything.
Yeah.
And then Luke would be in the kitchen making himself like eggs, and I was like wanting to throw up all the time. So all I was eating, completely not nutritional at all. I was just eating peanut butter sandwiches all day long, and then that was it. Like, but no, I felt like shit. So yeah, I think that's another aspect with us, for instance, is why we're kind of like scared to maybe even trying to have kids again, because of how badly I was taking it, like how bad I felt mentally. And then I mean, you're pretty stable in general. You're just like a very stable person, so you have good news about everything, but even then I'm just like, ooh, scares me. But everybody's different, right?
Yeah, and I mean, your mental state, your headspace was so different back then.
Yeah.
You have like big strides. You have gone very, very far ahead of where you used to be. So maybe like this time around, it's gonna be like completely different night and day. And
Yeah.
especially like knowing what you know and applying like some of the hypnobirthing techniques, not to say that that's the way you're going to go, but if you apply some of those techniques, I think you'll be fine or even better than fine.
Yeah, who knows? I just know that we kind of like, it's been a thing where it's been for a long time, like, no, we don't want to have kids because it'll change everything. But then we're like, damn, because Luke's like a fucking like amazing with kids. Like he's one of those people that sees kids and he's like throwing them up and down and like, hey, let's go play a game. Like I'm gonna hide this. And like he just goes off. Me, I'm usually very like quiet, but then I've always loved like my dog so much. I've always just been a very loving person. So I'm like, I'm pretty sure I'd be a good mom. But
Oh God. Like, you know, my dogs, especially like Axel, my blue pit bull, he's
oh.
baby. Oh my God. Like, adore him, adore him. And I even feel guilty saying this, but I love Alesso so much more, of course, than what I love Axel. And I fucking love Axel.
Yeah.
Love him a lot. But just to give you a sense and kind of measure that love, like you love Tuli so much. Dude, the love for your own child does not compare. And again, I feel guilty because I love Axel.
Yeah.
But it's true, like it doesn't compare, and you won't understand until you go through it.
Exactly. No, sometimes we look at Tuli because she does all these cute little things and we like stare at her. We're like, oh my God, she's so cute. And I'm like, dude, can you imagine if we actually had like a baby that both you and I made that came out of my vagina that we like created? Like, can you imagine how much we would love that baby? He's
Oh
like,
yeah.
no. He's like, it's probably crazy, huh? And we talk about it. We're like, damn, maybe we should have one because like, holy shit.
Yeah, I mean, imagine seeing Luke, like the love of your life, with your own child together. Like, yes,
Just
like
tears all the time.
I'm always staring at Aaron with Alesso.
Oh.
Like just their little interaction. And right now, Alesso, he's going through a phase that he's just obsessed with Aaron. Like he doesn't want me, he just wants Aaron, Aaron, Aaron.
No way.
Yeah, which is like really. But then it's like, okay, you guys look cute together, you know?
You're
So
like, whatever, I'll let it pass. Okay, so I'm running out of time, but thank you so much for sharing all about veganism, all about the hypnobirthing and everything in between. That's the end of this episode. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I hope you enjoyed getting to know Alex. As like I said, she's one of the most wonderful people in my life. And I'm so happy that she was able to share her stories with us. So guys, until next time, thank you so much for being here on the Karla Code. And really quick, Alex, where can they find you online?
oh, yes, good question. So Instagram at MedAlexa, so M as in Mary, ETALEXA, and also Facebook at Alexa Tena.
Because that's something else we need to discuss next time. Alex is like a huge metalhead, which is why we decided to be friends in the beginning because we were like into black metal and stuff.
I'm telling you, it's such a colorful background. Like, yeah, we can go for days and days and talk about everything.
Everything. So we still need to go to our first metal concert together, but we'll get to that later. But guys, thank you so much again. I'll see you guys next time on the Karla Code.
But